weekend to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the band program here, which started in 1924. As soon as the band came to Asheville and did a big concert in 1923, people got kind of activated about it and wanted to have a school band, which is what happened in the 1920s in many parts of the country. And there was a person at the Asheville School who taught strings, and he'd also been military bandsman in World War I in Great Britain, and so he was recruited to come over to Asheville High and start a band program. And in 1924, that's what happened. It's been going strong ever since. A lot of programs folded in the 1930s during the Depression. This is one that did not. A lot of programs folded during the pandemic a few years ago. This is one that did not. So through thick and thin, a band program has existed here and thrived, and that's what we're here to celebrate today. So in this group, this is a hodgepodge of alumni, directors, current directors, former directors. There are people from the class of 1951, Stephen Lee, all the way up to this year's graduating class, and even a few who haven't graduated yet. So it's really quite the span of decades from Stevens Lee, Lee Edwards, and Asheville High in this group today. And we rehearsed in total maybe 5 hours yesterday. We didn't really know if this would be good, if it would be terrible, what it would be like. And shockingly, on the downbeat, the band sounded pretty darn good. And that's a great testament to the good, solid music education that's going on here for a really long time. So you don't want to hear me talk the entire time. I will turn it over to each conductor who can introduce themselves and their pieces, and hear a great program today. So starting with
it's been very fulfilling this weekend. So we will open it up with Choose Joy, because this place brought so much joy to our lives, which is why I chose this piece by Randall Standridge.
Good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Amy Schaefer, and I was the band director here at Asheville Middle School from 2001 to 2019. The last 3 years that I worked here was in this building, so I got to help open this new building, which was nice, even though I have to say when the old building came down, I literally watched that come down with the crane, and I literally stood there and cried. So many memories in that old building. And anyway, it's been super fun to be here this weekend. I live in Virginia Beach now, where I teach middle school band there, because once I retired from here, I was out of the band room for about, 2 or 3 days, and I said, I'm just not ready to be done. So I get to teach some more there. But it's been super fun here, especially hang around with my former students and colleagues and tell stories and listen to stories and talk about costumes at our spring concerts. I'm sure many of you remember that. The piece we're going to play for me today is not a difficult piece because I do middle school, so we're doing a middle school piece. It's called Chapel for Banks, and it's one that we did here at EPA, and it also was written by my college band director, so I think it kind of goes full circle. So enjoy Chapel for Banks, which, by the way, is about the wild horses on the Outer Banks of North Carolina.
Okay, 1961 to 1991. There weren't many women band directors in the state of North Carolina. I could count on one hand. So I was turned down for 2 jobs I really wanted because I was a woman. But they wanted me here in Asheville, so I thought, what the heck? But the band director said, Pat, the band program is at rock bottom. We've got to build it back up. I'm all of 2 weeks out of college, and I have my interview with the superintendent, who has been a football coach and a principal. And I said, Mr. Griffin, what are your goals for the band program? He said, I'll tell you what, I'd like to see a 100-piece marching band out there on that field, and I'd like to be able to recognize the Star Spangled Banner. I said, I think I can be a Pied Piper, and I think I can get this program going. But you know what? We're talking a budget for instruments, equipment, and uniform. And I don't want to have to fundraise. Oh no, we don't believe in fundraising in Nashville City Schools. I said, well, we have to have a budget to get numbers. That will not be a problem. I didn't have any chips on my shoulder. I had great big blocks. And I said, we'll make this happen. I inherited 48 students at David Millard, and I have former students here from David Millard today. So I took my 48 students, and we started, and I thought they were sounding pretty good, and the high school band director came to my first concert in the spring. I said, how did it sound? And he said, have you heard the tape? No, we have reel-to-reel in it. You have to wait your turn to get the tape to listen. Well, I heard the tape and I thought, Lord have mercy, where were my ears? How could I ever think that was any good? I got to do a little bit more work. So 5 years later, I met the goal. I had 450 band students. They were marching 180, and we never looked back. It was wonderful. David Millard, South French Broad, Asheville Junior High. They just kept thinking we had an identity problem, so they kept changing the name. And I want you to know, to this day, the Asheville Junior High Band played at the International Band and Orchestra Clinic in Chicago in 1981, and no other junior high band from the state of North Carolina has ever been invited to go, so I'm very proud of that. I loved my career, and I have loved seeing former students, and what has meant the most to me yesterday and today is hearing. I just want you to know what an influence you've had on my life, what a difference you have made. And my saying that I adopted from one of my best friends, band director in South Carolina, was, live your life so that when you're gone, you will have made a difference. And I'm so glad that I have. Thank you. The number we're doing today is Eparita Roca.
Good afternoon. My name is Will Talley. I was a band director here in Asheville City Schools from 2000 to 2015. The first 7 years with the marvelous Mike Robinson, and then the last 8 with Myron Massey, who's over here today, and my wife, who wasn't my wife at the start of all of that. Oh, there you are. But that's a whole other story. Anyway, we are up in Ohio now, at Ohio University in Athens, Ohio, but are thrilled to be back here, and especially for Mr. Workman and Mr. Wiley to be back and perform on their concert with them on, I can't remember, it was Friday night, and to see how wonderful the band program, these guys are just driving, it's awesome. The piece that I'm going to conduct today is called An American Elegy, and one of the reasons that we're doing it is that the piece has been really significant for us. Mr. Wilson! Sorry, I didn't see you before. But we played this piece in the last couple of years that I was here. The band was fortunate enough to play the second inaugural for Barack Obama. And in that year we went up and the band marched in the parade and we did a concert festival up there. And that year we were working on this piece, the American Elegy, and Myron, I think you conducted it in DC, right? And we, at the time, we had 3 drum majors. One of them was a young lady named Ellie Buchanan, and her brother played percussion in the band. And their parents were band parents for us, very active, and went on the trip with us. And we got back from the trip, and everybody's on cloud 9. It was a great trip. And Ellie's mother, Amy, really loved An American Elegy, and she told me how much she really loved that piece. We had played on the concert before we left. Well, Amy got sick with the flu in DC when we were there. And we came back. Amy was young, she's in her 40s. And when we got back, we were back for about a week. They admitted her into the hospital. And 1 week to the day after we got back, she passed away. And we were at the highest of highs at that moment. But you can imagine that brought us to the lowest of lows. It was absolutely tragic. And we actually had a ceremony after that at UNCA where they commemorated the band for that. Of course, it was bittersweet at that time. And we were able to assemble a band to play at Amy's funeral. And we played An American Elegy and An Amazing Grace, another Frank Kelly arrangement. And I thought, being back here, that every time I've done this piece a few times since then, and every time I do it, I think about Amy. The piece is actually about the Columbine shooting that happened in 1999. And I mean, that's another tragedy that we continue to deal with on a really almost a weekly basis now. So we're dealing with shootings. And so this piece has a lot of extra meaning for me in that way. And these folks have done a beautiful job preparing this. So we hope you enjoy An American Elegy, and I'd like to again just dedicate it to Amy Buchanan.
Good afternoon. That's a hard act to follow. That's a beautiful piece. My name is Michael Robinson Mike. Most people call me Mike. I was the band director at Asheville High for 25 years, from 1982 until 2007. And as Ms. Shaker said, I just was not ready to retire, so I ended up going to Mars Hill University for 12 years. And 42 years in COVID was enough, and I decided to retire. It's great to see here. I see many former students out there, former student teachers and parents. It's great to be here, and I would again like to thank Mr. Workman and Mr. Wiley for putting this together. It's been great. Let's have a hand for them. And to know that Mrs. Weeks will be up here next. Mr. Talley and Mrs. Talley, she was Emily Davis then, all student taught with me too, and then became directors of the program. It is great. You know me, I'm old-fashioned, so we're going to play a march, a Sousa march, the title of the Pathfinder of Panama.
My name is Connie Weeks, and I was singing. I'm an ugly crier. As I look around this room, I see my life. From the people I went to college with, to the people that I worked with, to the school that my kids went to. Mike's got his children back here, and Brandon's up there, and my 2 kids went through here, and Amy's 2 kids went through here, and it's our life. And I would have had it any other way. I did my student teaching here with Pat and Mike, and my goal was always to get back here. I was a Buncombe County girl, but I wanted to come to Ashland City. That's where I did my student teaching. That's what I love. And so Pat retired. Carrie Stewart came, and the principal said, I'm going to put Carrie Stewart in that position, but Mr. Harwell's going to retire the next year. Will you come and teach general music for a year? And I was doing band and chorus down in Catawba County, and I said, absolutely. That was not a good because that was the first year of Ashland Middle School, and it was a kind of a run. For those of you who are around, it was not a good start, but we got there. And it was the band program that kept everything going. The tradition that it had, and the kids were coming through here, and that's what we did. So that next year, I joined Carrie, and Carrie and I worked together. It was 1991 when I came here. That was 92. Carrie left and went to do 5th grade and become an administrator. Amy came, and I stayed here until 2013. And that's when the youngest child went to college. As I said, I got to do something different. I want to influence other kids. So I went to the dark side, and I became a school administrator. And so I spent the next 6 years at the high school level doing freshmen, because I just come out of middle school, and they said, oh, you can handle the freshmen. And I just felt like I served those other kids that maybe at my career here I hadn't had an opportunity to do. And I'm still doing some things. I'm in Montford right now, but still keep my hand in the music, but it will always be my life. And I've had so many wonderful experiences, kids that are sitting in this band, colleagues in this band, kids that I see out here, band parents that were so significant in our band room. We could not have done it without all of you. And it just tickles me. I was over there crying, not because of the song that Will was doing, but how much he's grown since he did his student teaching with us. And you have these people come through, and you hope that somewhere along the way you've done something that gives them a chance to grow. And I definitely know that this band program, the institution that it is and continues to be, has allowed people to grow and to become musicians and spread it throughout the world. And isn't that what it's all about? So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for this honor, Mr. Workman, that's all I know, that the opportunity to be here and to do this. And of course, I'm like Amy. I'm not going to get up here and do a grade 6 because that's not what I did. I did middle school. This is one of my favorite ones. And William Townsend came in and I said, I remember when you 8th grade played this, you loved it. You said, Miss Woods, can I have a copy of the trumpet part? And he came in every morning and played it before school. And it was just one of those pieces of music. And it's entitled Moscow 1941.
So as the most senior member of the conducting crew, I get to conduct two. That was supposed to be a joke. Man, yeah, he's pretty old. Mike Robinson asked me to point out Mr. Ammons and Mr. Wilson, who also student taught at Asheville High School with Mike back in the 19. Say what she said? And junior high. Yeah. You know, at the moment, I think my musical educational journey is never finished. I mean, we continue to grow and learn. But I have to say that, you know, Mike, in particular for you and Connie, that were here when I was student teaching, in all the things that I have done in my life, I learned more here in Asheville City Schools than I have anywhere else about being a successful band director. I'm still working on it, but you know, I agree with you, Connie, that that's what this is all about. It's been a real pleasure, and like I said, it is a joy to be back here in Asheville City Schools and to see that the program continues to thrive and is even better. So. Anyway, this next tune, if you were in the band at Asheville High School during the Robinson years, or even after he left, this one will probably cause a little bit of PTSD. So it's the Banford Prelude on Ode to Joy, and we would always play it at graduation, at the end of graduation for a postlude. But then we also did the little senior tribute at our concert, so I thought it would be fitting to play today.
one final short number. But before that, we have a few people to recognize, lots of groups. There's alumni in the audience and in the band, of course. If you're an alumni from Stevens Lee, Lee Edwards, Ashford Pike from the 1950s, stand up. Folks in the 1950s?
I'm not.
Richard still plays weekly in the Asheville Community Band with us. He's from the class of 1951, correct? Stevens Lee? Yes. The 1960s? Any folks in the audience in the band? 1960s? And the 1970s? '80s in the audience and the band. 1980s. And the 1990s. 2000s, 2010, up to 2010. And 2020. And 2020 on, up through right now. Well, I think it's obvious after watching the conductor today why the program's been so strong here for so long. I think it should be a requirement. It is a requirement to take a job in the school system that you have respect for what went on here before, the success and the tradition. And if you don't have that respect, you don't deserve a job in Asheville City Schools. And so one of the things that attracted me to this job, other than budget and money and smart kids and a good facility, was, of course, that it's a tradition of success. And I knew all the former directors, and I felt like it was a place I really wanted to come for that reason. A few other quick announcements. And I want to recognize formally all the folks who student taught in the band. I know that already kind of happened. There's some in the audience. If you could stand. And Mr. Wilson is a former director that at the biggest time of crisis. And then last, band parents. I see a lot of band parents, current and former, in the audience. Band parents could stand. You fund this operation, and you And also to the Asheville Middle Directors for letting us invade their facility. Thank you. If you could stand. Originally, this was supposed to be the concert that opened the new auditorium. That obviously is not happening. And so all along, Mr. Robinson, I said, well, if it has to, it can be in the Asheville High Gym, which is also now under renovation. So, and then we said, well, we have a few other auditorium options. Every one of those were either condemned this last year in town or various issues. And so this is a really nice space, even though it is a gym. It sounds good in here, and we really appreciate you coming over. And then a few other things I did want to mention. The alumni contact form is not just for this weekend, it's for things from now on. So if you haven't filled that out, it's the only way we have any contact with alumni. There's no organized list other than that. There's now 215 names and emails in there, but if that could keep growing, that's even better, because we'll always be able to send out information about concerts and things going on with the program. Also, if you're in town still on Tuesday, the Wind Symphony and Jazz Corner are playing at Biltmore at 11:30 for the Wind Symphony and at 2 o'clock for jazz. Biltmore called and asked about wanting child models for a photo shoot, and when you want to see the prettiest band in West North Carolina and the best sounding one that looks the best, that's us. And so that's why they call us. We're playing a concert, but really we're also there for a photo shoot for their promotional stuff, for their festival and for Biltmore in general. So we're doing both, and they're feeding us while we're there. They're going to be really, really gracious hosts. So if you have nothing going on Tuesday and you're in town, come over to Biltmore if you have a pass, because we're putting that concert there. And last but not least, I could announce things all day, but there's a lot of folks in here who play in the Asheville Community Band or have, And there's a lot of names on that alumni list of people who live in Asheville still who play instruments. So if you haven't already or don't or want to continue, please come back and play in the Asheville Community Band, which meets in the Asheville High Band Room once again. There's a long history of the community band from Asheville City Directors. The founders sitting right here, former directors. If you play in the community band currently, please stand. This looks nice. There's a lot of great musicians sitting at home on Monday nights with nowhere to play, and we have a place for you. So the last tune we'll do is, of course, the fight song. So it'll be quick and efficient. If you want to say go Cougars, feel free. And of course, after there will be pictures. Thank you, Ms. Kennedy. All right, conductors, we'll do a picture first over in the corner, and then for all former directors, in front of the band first. All right.
Say cheese.
I came to a couple of those there. The middle school one.
You said they like these suits. Hey, you know what it is, but I'm trying to put me right here on the front. So I'm cheap on this one.
Thank you.
If all the former and current directors can go over to the thing over there, we'll get a picture all together as well. And everybody else can socialize and take
Y'all go to
pictures.
school here?
Current and former directors.
Y'all go to one?
Because they had to live with Brandon and they're out there in that Hickey district. They out in the out there in that Hickey school district.
Are you kind of supportive?
Let's just do pictures in general that way. If you want pictures with directors, pictures, we'll do them all over to the left side of the gym.
Already wore out.
All right, there we go. Oh, like they're disappearing. The teams are running. They're like, it's too adulty up here. Oh, the night.
It was a good concert. Good music. You two need to play next year. You two need to play next
Oh,
year.
you ready to pull out some more?
Getty. Need another trumpet and saxophone.